Hey guys, this is Brian Williams with WGR. Welcome to the Tips for SWIPs. Now in this Tips for SWIPs video, we're going to show you how to use the state's Google Earth overlay file to find out which through 3D listed impairments apply to your facility. Now if you want to find more about HUC-10 watersheds and through 3D list impairments, the state has provided a great webinar on this topic, which you can watch by clicking the link at the bottom of this video. Now, the best and easiest way to do this is logging in to your Smarts account where you can find all this information in just a few clicks. The 3D impairment tool is a part of the NOI recertification process. So you're going to go log into your Smarts account and fill out this information. If you've already submitted your NOI, you can still attain this information by creating a fictitious account. So in this information tab where it says operator info, we have an obviously fictitious account. It says test account 123 Testing Street. It's pretty obvious that this is a fake company. So we go over to facility info, and what we see right here is we have populated test site for HUC-10. So again, you can see it's pretty obvious and apparent. It says test contact right here, and this is the important part that you remember. Although you have a fake company name, the address is going to need to be correct because, hey, we're testing out our HUC-10 and 3D impairments. We need to know which streams are pertinent to our address and our latitudes and longitudes. So it's important that these two bits of information are actually truthful. So let's go over, click Save and Continue. It may take a few moments to load, but after it's done loading, it's going to pop us over into the Additional Facility Information tab. So there we are. It's loaded up, and what do we have here? Now, it has all the 303D list impairments that we need to fill out in our SWIP right here for us in a nice little list. So you can go put those into your SWIP and fill all that information out. Now that's a really quick and easy way to find out all this information, and it's really great, but there's a few things that this doesn't tell us. Such information could be the name of the receiving body of water. There's also information like, where did Group A pesticides come from? What body of water is that referring to? So if you want to take further look into this, we can dig a little bit deeper by going over to our Google Earth tool. So let's go on and head over there. Let's get started. This can look a little bit confusing and it looks a little bit chaotic since you may be used to seeing the classic satellite imagery on your Google Earth. So go to the search box at the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to start putting in my address, and sometimes if you've already used this, your address will come right up. Type in your address with your street address, city, state, and you may even want to put your area code if necessary. So I'll click on search, and let's have Google Earth show us where our facility is. Now I'm going to stop it right here before it goes a little bit too far because it can zoom in pretty close. Now, let's talk about what all these different colors mean. Well, the red is your HUC-10 boundary lines, and the bluish kind of aqua color is your bodies of water like streams, creeks, rivers. And then you might think, well, what are these gray things? Well, those are usually reservoirs, lakes, other bodies of waters like a canal, or maybe in this case, this is going to be the delta waterways. So now that you have a general knowledge of what all the different colors are, let's show you what happens when we take off one of the filters. Now I'm going to go over to the left-hand side of my screen and click the checkbox where it's highlighted and it says regions. What this does is it takes off that green blanket that laid over the satellite imagery, and it allows us to see the satellite imagery. This is important because it allows us to see the bodies of water that are such as the delta right here, or the lakes, or the reservoirs, and I can now click on them. Notice that when I apply, let's exit out of this little box. After I apply this, when it's in gray, I can't see what that body of water is. So it's important to know that you need to take the green blanket filter off in order to see some things. Now let's go and look at what one of these bodies of water is and see how to obtain all the information necessary. So this right here says water body name, and what that means is, well, it's telling us what the body of water is. This tells us what region we're in the number, and this tells us our region name, NM short for name. So I'm going to click on this right here, and it says Delta Waterways Eastern Portion. Note that it's important to write down what the material is in the parentheses, because this will be vital later when you're looking it up on your 303D list for bodies of water that have more than one section to them. So I'm going to go over into my blank document, and I just copied that text inside the box. You can write this down on a physical piece of paper if you prefer, but I like to just control paste right here into my blank document. Now I'm going to go back to Google Earth, and one thing I want to show you is by pointing out the fact that this may not always be the Delta Eastern portion. So if you see something that, well, it looks like it would all be Delta East because it's all connected and it runs into each other, it may have sectioned off into, well, Delta South, North, or some other segment. So it's important that if there's a body of water, you click and make sure that it all is the same portion noted in those parentheses. So what I want to do is, now that I've seen that that's the delta, let's go into the smaller bodies of water. Now I'm going to click right here. Oops, I didn't really click on the river there, but the box still came up. So what does this mean for us? Well, it says Bear Creek, and this is likely a body of water that's within your HUC-10 boundary line, but it's important to zoom in far enough when dealing with the small rivers, creeks, and sloughs that you can actually click on the river itself and not just have this little mishap. So make sure you're actually clicking on the river. Okay, I got it there this time. This one says Mosher Slough. Now I'm going to highlight this, put it in my document as I've done before. You can right click or you can use your keyboard shortcuts, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And I'm going to put that information in there. Now let's make sure this is Mosher Slough all the way through. So let's click on these things and see, okay, upstream eastern portion. I just want to ensure that this is Mosher Slough all in the same portion so that I can make sure that it hasn't segmented off into another area of Mosher Slough. So if you ever get lost and you can zoom out and find your little area where your site facility is located and zoom in. So what I like to use this blanket for, this green layer, is so I can see the outline of my HUC-10 borderline. So I can find it a little bit easier than when it has a satellite imagery on. So I can see clearly that, okay, my HUC-10 ends here and it kind of comes up here, and then we can clearly see the outline a little bit better. So that's what I like to use that for, and then I can zoom in and go to the specifics. So what is this body of water right here? It says Pixley Slough, San Joaquin Waterways Eastern portion. So I'm going to put this in here. Now that I've populated my little list, I'm going to go back and let's just repeat the process and go all the way up and see, make sure that this is Pixley Slough. Alright, and okay, well, this is interesting. So it goes into Bear Creek after we have this little, where the rivers join. So let's check and see what this one is. Maybe that one is Bear Creek. Aha, so here we go. This one says Bear Creek, San Joaquin, Calaveras, partly in Delta Waterways East portion. So I'm going to highlight this, and then I'm going to populate my sheet. And now I'm going to ensure that this one, just do the same thing. You get the picture at this point, so let's make sure it's all in the same facility, in the same part of that Bear Creek Eastern portion. So make sure you look at that. Now we have another split off right here, so let's make sure these aren't two different bodies of water. It says Bear Creek, alright, we're good on that one. And also Bear Creek, okay, so we're still good right here. Now we have, oh, there's another little tiny split off, so we can zoom in a little closer for this. Let's see, that's still Bear Creek. Alright, it's looking like this one's going to run out and carry Bear Creek all the way through, but let's just err on the side of caution and see where this one takes us. Okay. So eastern portion, whoops. That was that little mistake that I told you to watch out for. So there you have it. It goes Bear Creek all the way in there. Well, what does this mean now that we've figured out all these bodies of water? Well, what this means is you can take this newfound information, go over to your 303D spreadsheet, and after you look up all these bodies of water, you can then search the water body name after you've located it in the appropriate region and find out what all the pollutants are. We'll go over this in a separate video and how to fill out your water bodies list by using this 303D list spreadsheet. But I hope this information has been helpful for how to properly use the Google Earth tool in order to find out where your bodies of water are and how many of them are in your HUC-10 boundary lines. Well, thanks for listening to this Tips for SWIPs video on how to use Google Earth and find out what 303D bodies of water are in your HUC-10 boundary lines.